Alan and I say today. It's okay though. We got a good group. We've got at least 18 because the wheel is full. I don't know what this Gemini thing is, but like I kind of do.
That's kind of like taking over.
Yeah, and you don't have a choice apparently. So yeah, it takes notes of literally everything it hears. I know, and then you get a transcript. So like every time you're in a Zoom call, it's like so-and-so's Gemini is listening to you. I'm like, that's creepy. All right, guys, let's get rolling. Thank you very much for being here this morning. I put this picture on the screen for our background to start. Does anybody know who the artist is? Nope. You know the picture though, right? It's Jim Booth.
Oh, that's right.
And he that was like the fastest ever selling painting in Charleston. He sold out in like 2 hours. Do you know what the picture is of?
Hugo.
Yeah, Hurricane Hugo. I thought you were going to say a storm. I was like, yeah. It's kind of what we've all been dealing with this week. So we'll talk a little more about that. Okay, our wheel of winners. Ash, do you want to spin it?
Oh, okay.
Since you're right there.
A better job
Our
than
own-
the first time, then.
Our own little Vanna. There you go. That's a good one. Is it Tom?
Again?
Wait, what? You won last week.
That's what he gets for showing up.
Can we do it?
I think you can.
I mean, the whole point's showing up. So. Maybe one's empty though.
That one's probably not empty. That's the heavy one. A Chuck E. Cheese coin. No, just kidding. That'd be funny though. Yep.
$10.
$10. Look at that. Never know. Could get rich if you show up to sales meeting. Thanks for playing. Thanks for being here. Okay, we've got birthdays. We have a lot of June birthdays. Believe it or not just my birthday. So we've got DuBose coming up. Dustin, didn't you just have a birthday? Yeah, last week, right? Tuesday? 3 weeks ago. Happy belated birthday. And we also had Abby's birthday already. And then coming up, we've got DuBose, Kat, Kylene, Dorothy, then Dan Poppy, then Peggy, then Jill, and then me. Don't forget it's my birthday. No, how could anybody is right, Duval. All right, happy birthday to you guys. Ashley and I will coordinate on a date for our birthday lunch and get back to you guys for that for the second quarter birthday lunches. Newsletter looks pretty good, guys. Thank you very much for that work. Alan and I were on the phone on Monday, and he was reading to me the numbers. And this is kind of a funny comment, and I don't think Michael meant for it to be funny, but it literally made me laugh out loud. He texted me or he emailed me, and he said, nice numbers. I remember when you could barely keep up with Mount Pleasant North. And I was like, ooh. So we're at 55 million in volume on sales, and Mount Pleasant North is at 35 million in volume on sales. And my response was actually like, that just proves that we have the same type of job in our running our offices as you guys do. There's rebuilding years. There's years where you're just like in a hole for a year or two, and you're just constantly shoveling out. So I sent Michael back shovel emojis because I felt like we've been digging out of a little bit of a hole for a while. So it was pretty funny. Thank you for your work on that. Mastery will begin on Monday again. I'm sorry I missed last week. I've got a cool topic all planned out. So we'll go through ChatGPT and how you can use ChatGPT to benefit the Ninja 9 activities and maybe help you work a little smarter. New website. We've had some trouble. It's like on and off again. Alan, anything from that webinar yesterday?
The agent website should be ready to really functional on
Okay. I know that they had them up and running and then they didn't, and then I don't know. So it's been a little rocky, but it's in the works. So contest, activity contest. I put our new total. So this was what was that? Hold on, I'm going backwards. Our participation numbers when Priscilla was here, and I was like, wow, that's pretty disappointing. Week 1, 9 people. Week 2, 4 people. So everyone told me it's because of graduations. I'm like, you guys don't even have any kids. Just kidding. So I put our updated numbers and we improved last week significantly. We have 14 people participating, but this week we're getting a little sleepy. So hopefully at the end of the week, and I think a lot of people do their updates that way in like where they wait till the end of the week and you guys update all of your activities for the week. So lean into that. I put our leaderboard here. So we've got Peggy, Justin, Laura Goolsby, Kimberly, Kristen, Katha, Cole, Sarah, Tina, Danielle, Robin, Lisa, Jill, Dominique, Cindy, and Alex all participating. So thank you guys very much for that. We appreciate that hard work. All right, Josh is not here. Unfortunately, he didn't feel well this morning, so we asked him not to come give us his germs. I'll run through his slides really quick because Alan had a eye opener when he caught this one. They're giving $12.50 in agent referrals if you refer them a property to property management. I don't know if it was always that high, but that's a good little chunk of money. Do you know, Alan, if it was always that much?
I'm not sure.
It used to be 750 based on the right side of that picture.
Oh yeah, look, 750 one-time commission at 10 placement. So I definitely wanted to point that out to you guys. So if you've got somebody who's looking for property management, reach out to Josh and he'll get you connected with them. Upgraded marketing, investor insurance. This one too, their local listings for their what they have available. You guys know where Dingle Road is, 2,500 basically. Wild Goose Trail, I'm not sure where that one is, 2,400, and then Wood Spring at 5,400. You believe people are getting that much money for rent? This one's in Jeopardy?
Yeah, that's up in the neighborhood with clients that live on that street.
I have a friend who lives in Carroll Oaks and she's renting her house. She has a really nice new pool in her backyard, but Carroll Oaks, you guys know where that is, right? Like 41. She's getting $7,000 a month in rent. Yeah.
Is it hard?
7,000. Yes, it's furnished. I'm like, you're getting what? She's like, I'm like, you should move out and like stay moved out for a while until that changes. Cause that's like never going to happen again. It's just crazy. Her mortgage is like $1,250 a month. Perfect. Like, what are you doing? Get out of your house. So reach out to Josh if you've got questions on property management and he will reschedule him for next week or the week after. All right, let's dive into some tips, tricks, and reminders from this week. Whose job is it to inspect a property? When I read that question, I was like, my answer was what Duval said, the buyer. But when I read it to you guys, I was like, they're going to say inspector because you're right. But it's the buyer's responsibility to hire the inspector, right? Yeah. Okay, so at what stage does the buyer have the right to inspect the property? During due diligence?
The whole time.
Yes. Anytime up until closing, the main inspection happens at due diligence and we submit repair requests and then we re-inspect, right? What do we have to do if we want to inspect the property in the middle of repairs being done? Ask for an appointment and then set the inspection. Can your uncle, who's a contractor, come do the second inspection?
Why not?
Isn't the buyer allowed to have anybody they want come and see the house?
Uh-huh. So if the inspector comes and does their inspection and we say, fix this rotted door jam situation. And then your uncle comes during that process and says they're doing it wrong. Here's a new remedy for this. Is that okay? Why not?
Relation.
Well, first of all, you've already negotiated what's on the repair request addendum.
Yeah. We've already negotiated and squared away what's on the repair request addendum. Who can decide who does the work and how they do the work?
The buyer.
Seller
well,
and the seller.
Seller owns the house, so they can hire whoever they want to unless we all agree otherwise and we work through that process together. If I say I want you to reframe that door jamb with pressurized wood and you agree, then you're going to use pressurized wood. If I say paint it pink and you paint it blue, you're going to have to go back and paint it pink, right? But if none of that is agreed upon, what happens?
Whatever the seller.
Seller just has to meet the terms of the repair agreement. So just keep that in mind. When we write repair requests, we often say, whatever a problem is. Electrical is tripping, have electrician inspect and correct. That's up to us to bring the electrician out, have them inspect and present the problem to the seller. What does the expiration of offer on the repair addendum mean? Pretty much. Unfortunately, pretty much nothing. I mean, it's there because that's the time frame that I want you to respond by. So that way I have time for my buyers to think through, decide what they want to do, maybe renegotiate. But really, you have to be agreed upon by the end of the due diligence period. So that date is really just kind of blown off a lot, unfortunately. So if we know that, we just have to roll with it and know that that's what's going to happen. Prepare yourself for the alternative. What's good about an escrow agreement? Can you say that louder? What does an escrow agreement look like? Is it just like buyer and seller agree to hold back $3,000 in escrow? No, it's usually like a 2 or 3 page document written by the attorney. Why? Because there's nothing good about an escrow agreement. That's why. Because it has to cover all of the what ifs. And even when you have a written out escrow agreement that you think you've covered all the what ifs, chances are you haven't. So we want to avoid that at all costs possible. We can't write escrow agreements, only attorneys can. I'll give you a good example. Bob and Sherry are online right now, but we've got one that I've mentioned before. I think it's 3 years old now, almost 3 years old. And we have $8,500 or so in escrow just sitting there because the escrow agreement, the holdback money was to fix a rodent issue in an attic. So we fixed the rodent issue. There's no more rodents. But what didn't it say? Clean up all the rodent droppings. Well, in order to clean up all the rodent droppings in an attic, what has to happen? All the insulation has to come out and all new insulation has to go in. So of course our sellers are like, we're not doing that. That's not what you asked us to do. You asked us to fix the rodent problem and we did. Well, they don't agree with us. We don't agree with them. So we're sitting here for year 2 or 3 with $8,500 of our sellers' money just sitting there. So nothing is good about an escrow agreement. Please don't do them. All right. And then this last one that came up this past week, whose job is it to check the settlement statement? Who doesn't really understand the settlement statements usually? Clients, right? Even if they've bought a couple homes before, they likely don't understand what they're looking at. And sometimes they look different. They definitely look different from the last time they purchased a home, more than likely. But sometimes attorney to attorney, they look different. What if the compensation is incorrect on that settlement statement and you don't catch it?
Then you're out of luck.
Who's probably going to catch it? That guy in the corner back there. And he has caught several of them where he says, hey, you agreed to a 3% commission and they've only paid us 2.5%. And then it's a real uncomfortable conversation to call back the attorney and then have the attorney argue with you, well, you should call your client. It's your client. No, you should call because you screwed it up. And they say, well, you looked at the settlement statement and approved it. So we're trying to get our 0.5% commission. It just feels really, really ugly. So now the fact that our compensation is really different and it's coming from different resources, Greg's laughing, it's coming from different resources, make sure the attorneys have every piece of documentation that's covering our comp. Yesterday, we reduced a commission to cover an appraisal and we have 3 different spots detailing where the commission's coming from. And I'm like, make sure they have all 3 pieces and it is correct on the settlement statement because nobody wants to go back. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Oh,
Alan
I'm sure
is
the home warranty is on there.
a home warranty. Did you have that happen this week?
No, I had it
Just recently.
one of the time where they
Yeah.
didn't.
They didn't charge them.
Yeah. And then they needed it. So that's, how
Of
you
course
find
they
out.
did. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those are just a couple of things that have popped up this week, last week in between. Fast 5 for this week. So a couple of agent wins. So we beat May's closing goal by almost 4 million. Thank you very much for that. That's always good. My husband doesn't really know what these things mean or how they play out, but as soon as he hears stuff like that, he's like, will you get paid? And I'm like, maybe Ty, maybe. Yeah, $3.8 million. That would be amazing. Bonnie kicks us off for June with our first closing of the month. So kudos to Bonnie on that. And she just hit her 95%. And Molly and Leslie are co-oping a deal together. I don't know where. There you go. I was like, I just saw one of them. Yeah. So that's awesome. We like when it goes in-house. That's good. That's good. Ashley Graham had our first written sale of the month. Do you know if that was on her property? I'm really pulling fur on that one.
I don't advertising in a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Allie Atwell closed on her Wild Dunes listing, which was a marathon and a nail biter at the same time. That's the one that literally they tried to come off the market. And then the next day she got an offer. And then the next day the HVAC broke. just like nonstop things. So she closed that one. She literally sent a screenshot to me while she was at the Boston Red Sox game. And I was like, this is way better than the picture of the Red Sox. And she had the status closed. So give her kudos when you see her on that one. Thank you guys for that. That's been a rough couple of weeks. So thank you. All right, Ash, you want to come talk to us about the golden days of summer? I need to get a clicker so we don't have to see anything. Oh, yes, we're kind of like very, very 4th of July. We're America right here. Man, look at us. All right. I know people online are probably like, what? Our dresses coordinate. All right, guys. So that was a great little preface into what I'm going to be talking about today. Is what we have been seeing that have been going on during the month of May. The good, the bad, the ugly, and just some friendly reminders. So let's get into this with our thank yous and shout outs. So June contracts, we're hitting another big goal, 8 closings and 8 contracts with Peggy, Alex, Adam, Brandon, Laura, Molly, Kylene with her first closing with us, and the Fessler Newton team. So thank you guys, and thank yous to Lisa, Pam, Katie, Kimberly, Laura, Sarah, Kylie with her first referral, Mackenzie, Bonnie, Paige, and Leslie. So thank you guys for keeping Jimmy and myself very busy this summer. Okay, we're going to play off of what Maggie was just talking about, kind of do's and don'ts. Going back to the golden rules of mortgages based on true events. I usually do this in Halloween time and do like Tales from the Crypt, like, but I feel like, you know, we just had one of our biggest closing months, and what's inevitable when you close a lot of deals is you run into a lot of different scenarios. So I thought these were all really good reminders. So this is a true story. I'll give you a minute to kind of look at the calendars. Okay. The 4th is when, May the 4th is when the contract was ratified with a June 3rd closing. Does everybody agree? That's pretty good. That's pretty reasonable, right? Okay. The 13th is when, May the 13th is when I disclosed the loan disclosures. The buyer did not choose the lender until May 27th and signed their loan disclosures.
Uh-oh. No.
Do we think this is an appropriate amount of time or kind of a little too long? Little tight. Closing was June the 3rd. So I got loan disclosure signed on the 27th. To throw another wrench into the system, the buyers are leaving town June 4th. They're going out of town. Won't be able to close. So they signed the 27th. I immediately had to pick up the phone, call Cynthia and Sarah Henderson, my head of processing, and I'm like, we got a tough one. But the closing is the 3rd, and these people aren't going to be here on the 4th. So can we do it? It was underwriter cleared on the 28th of May. So we got it into processing and through underwriting. Now, side note, this loan had an inspection waiver, so we didn't need an appraisal, which thank the good Lord. The 30th, the ICD went out because the buyers had to sign, and we were tracking their signatures like hawks. And they closed on the 3rd.
You guys are saying you did 5-day closing?
We are not advertising that. Don't you put it on social media. But what I'm saying is that they were, are we going to pay cash? Are we going to finance this? Mom was going to be the non-occupant co-signer. Then dad stepped up to be the non-occupant co-buyer. And so there was a lot of different scenarios being thrown out that took us from when we ratified on May the 4th to actually signing disclosures on the 27th. So when you have folks that are, you know, comparing loan estimates, which we highly advertise, you know, they should do that. Compare loan estimates.
when you're on a 30-day closing, they really need to have that lender picked in that first week. So get all the estimates, but let's nail it down, because this was really hard, but I'm really glad that we were able to pull it off. Yeah. Okay. So that's scenario number one. Same scenario. This is a jewel bucket. This is what we call a jewel bucket. The jewels just kept coming up. When do you think people should finalize how much they want to put down, finalize down payment, finalize locking in that interest rate?
Or just signing all the disclosures.
Yeah, like, as soon as you.
Well, I mean, they just signed 30 days ago. So the day before is not ideal. And really, after working hours is not ideal. So when they're looking at the final CD that came out from the attorney the day before closing, and that's not uncommon, they're like, oh, what if we put more money down? We want to put more money down. I'm like, okay. We were able to get it done, but what I think that obviously buyers don't realize is it's not just me on my computer changing the down payment amount and regenerating paperwork. It has to go all the way back through underwriting. They have to, give their stamp of approval. We have to verify the funds. We had all of that. And then it has to go all the way through the closing department. New packages, new paperwork has to be generated by everybody. And then it goes back to the attorney. They collaborate with us, and then the final CD is issued. So it's not just as easy as, me changing it on my side. I really wish it was.
When they change it at the last minute like
Yeah.
that, isn't there supposed to be like 2 or 3 days they're supposed to sign before closing?
So
Like,
down
how does
payment
that work?
amounts do not really change APR.
Okay.
So you're not changing the terms of financing as far as interest rates and
So as
points
long as
and
they've signed their
fees.
thing, that's
yeah.
still.
So that's
okay.
why it was so important for them to go ahead and sign that ICD 3
Right.
days in advance so that we could still close.
Okay.
But then at the very last minute, they're like, you know what, we really want to put more money down. I'm like, I love that for you. Like, that's great. I love that. But it's not as easy as we want to believe it is. All right. So does that all make sense? Let's give lenders heads up on things like that. Power of attorneys. Pretty common. People are closing by POA. It's summertime. People are not showing up to closing on their house. But when should you let a lender know that your buyer needs a POA? When should you not let us know? This is not the same scenario. Different one. This is a Friday. We're closing on a Monday. Nothing has been said about her needing a POA this entire time. She is coming from California, and the agent tells me on Friday, you know what? I don't know if she's going to be here. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know if she's going to be here? She's like, yeah, I don't know if she's going to be here. We might need to get that power of attorney set up. I'm like, what? Yeah, like Jill, like, what? Power of attorneys are, depending on the loan program, not a problem. But things like that we can't use power of attorneys for, if they tell somebody that they are going to Greece for a month, like that's not an acceptable reason for not attending closings. Work trips, perfectly fine. Illness, which I feel like that becomes the default. A family emergency, that sort of thing. But if they tell the attorney that, hey man, I'm getting out of here for vacation, like that's going to be a big red flag. The attorney does draft the POA and sends it to the lender to get verified. It has to be notarized and witnessed, the whole 9 yards. We have our own power of attorney desk that all power of attorneys have to be approved through. So it's not as simple as the attorney setting it up and then we're good to go. Like it has to go through a whole process and the lender has to sign off on it. And that's for any lender. It's not just a Carolina one thing. So please, 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 if we know that we need a power of attorney, getting that set up ahead of time. Also, certain loan programs allow certain people to sign on their behalf. So that's important to check with the lender. Hey, does it allow, Justin to sign on behalf of Kristen? Certain loan programs are pretty particular on who they want to sign on behalf of the customer. Yes, ma'am.
What's the reason that you need the power of attorney matter? Like if you are on vacation, why is that a big deal versus work?
Doesn't matter to me.
I understand. I didn't know why. It matters.
Because they want everybody to attend closing.
Yeah, but
Fannie and Freddie. I mean, I don't know.
so just say the reason matters.
The reason definitely matters when you put it on your power of attorney. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, if you're not going to be there, you're not going to be there. But
I just didn't know the reason.
anyways. All right, guys, questions on this? Is everybody going to treat us, give us everything up front? And then save the date, June the 12th, 9:30. That is the Thursday that you are going to be out. Jimmy and I will do something here in the office. We are kind of waiting on our topic that I guess all mortgage teams are supposed to be talking on, and then we'll get something put together for you guys for some additional training. Next Thursday? Next week. Next week. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Ash. Production from this week on the listing side, Ashley Graham, Lisa Northrup, Paige Pollock, and the Perella Group. On written sales, Ashley Graham, Leslie Evans, Laura Goolsby, Renee Kramer Team Poppy, the Perella Group, and Tyler Davidson. And then on the close side, Alex Brenner, Bonnie Cook, Fessler Newton Team, Laura Goolsby, the Smith Team, and the Perella Group. Thank you guys very much for that. So last week, Kristen asked, is it possible to figure out, do you remember what she asked?
Yes.
What was it?
I wanted to know the percentage of sales in each area.
Mm-hmm. Like where we were,
Where
what
we're-
cities we were writing offers in.
Yeah.
So I was putting the sales meeting together and it was like 9 o'clock and I was still putting the sales meeting together. And then it was like 10 o'clock and I was still somehow putting the sales meeting together because I got obsessed with remembering Kristen's question. And I know how much you guys love stats. So I even made some fancy charts. So check this out. Oh, thanks. I love that reaction. Can you do it again? Isn't that nice? Okay, so I know it's a little hard to see, but 38.6% of our closed sales in the month of May were Mount Pleasant. Are you
This is just our office.
just our office? Do you think it would be more or less in Mount Pleasant?
Seems right.
No wrong answer. You guys are like nervous to answer me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought it would have been a lot higher than 38%. I thought it would have been closer to 50. But what do you think that is caused by? Yep, price point and affordability. You guys having to drive further. Then Somerville is next in this light blue one, 17.5. 14% were in North Charleston. Yeah, my neck of the woods. 5% in Charleston, which is kind of funny to me because that's like all encompassing. Sometimes that's DI, sometimes it's Charleston, sometimes West Ashley. And then the rest kind of hover. These four: Sullivan's, Goose Creek, Isle Palms, Johns Island, around 3.5. And then these drop down to about 1.75.
Maybe you say last one or last.
All of May.
She was so excited about the shark chips and the to me at 10 bucks.
But wait, there's more. So then Greg asked a question because I thought Dave was coming to the meeting and he wrote back and he's like, no, Dave. I'm like, no, I just don't know how to read a calendar. And Alan helped me with that. So he said he was looking forward to his insight on showings. So this is our office's showings by week in the month of May. Yeah. Either. So it's either you guys as showing agents or our listings being shown. So it started at the top, May 1st to the 8th was at 110. It's a little above 110. Then the next week we dropped to somewhere between 90 and 95 showings. Then the week after that, we tricked it back up a little bit above 95. And then the week after that, we dropped all the way down to about 80. So if you felt like showings have dropped off, you're right. And then this one shows price points, and this is market wide. So this shows the price points getting the most showings. So 300 to 400, obviously like off the chart. This is for the past 30 days. So it's June 4th to May 5th. 4,500 showings in 300 to 400 price range.
Wow.
I should have told how many
Doesn't include,
active listings there are.
That doesn't include new construction, I assume, because you don't.
It depends if you're using showing time.
This
Right.
is just up to $1 million. Okay.
And then 400 to 500 is the next one, tied with 200 to 300. So really that bracket between 200 and 500 is that movable, most showed price point. How could you use this to benefit you on a listing appointment?
Setting expectations.
Price bracketing and setting proper expectations. Sure, we can price at 500 to 600, but look at the showing drop off. You know, if we can get to the 500 mark, we would be on that bracket and we would get a lot more activity. Yes.
For what period of time?
30 days.
Prior 30 days from showing time, but I don't think you guys have access to this report. You might.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you do it in, it's in showing time.
Yeah.
Because I run them for June's Wed pretty much every 4 hours.
Perfect.
Not too intense, Kristen.
Yes. This one? The colorful one?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty.
Oh, yeah.
That's good, right? You just wanted to make me feel good again.
I'm with Daniel Islands.
And then this is the same data on this last one I just showed you, just with numbers. So what I think is most, well, what do you guys think is most interesting about this one?
Can't see it.
Sorry. Can't see it. You guys can't see the screen over there?
No, because of the light read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Katrina said that to me the other day and I forgot to do that.
All price points are like 4 to 5
Total showing.
Yep, so showings per listing, I want you to look at this far right column. The highest number is 4.8, and that's in the 2 to 300, and that's shows per listing. I thought that number would have been higher. So it's just good data to have.
You can do this for subdivisions and everything. It's.
Kristen, stop making
No,
my
not you,
impressive
but
chart
me.
seem very lame, okay?
Yeah, but like, I just ran this the other day. For June's West. It's in showing time. It's so easy. And it's very helpful. When you
There's a
start
ton of
questioning.
reports in there. I just don't know which ones are open to you guys. So just go under showing time, go to left-hand column, go to reports, and there's tons of reports. Call Kristen if you have questions because she knows how to do it.
I do.
But she doesn't know how to do this one. That one's too nice.
Was that ChatGPT?
That was. I don't know. That's a good question. I always think you guys can answer that question better. Tom's question is, how's open house activity? I always feel like open house activity is either like slam dunk or total flub. I don't know.
A lot of times when the showings go down, it's open house activity goes up because it's the summer.
Yep.
Patients on the weekend.
I tried to get marketing to do a company-wide open house like we used to do back in the day and do like a huge marketing push for it. But they were like, we're kind of busy with this website thing. And I was like, okay.
My friend Sandon's doing it Thursday.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah.
That's tonight's the first one.
Cool. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's great.
He put it out to
It was like, yeah,
Like a
to the
marathon.
15 There was like a ton of properties in all
Thursday,
different
4 to
areas.
6.
Nice.
Thursday, 4 to 6. Let's like try to shake it up a little bit. Do Thursday,
Maybe I
4 to
should have
6.
called Randall and asked him to do a company-wide open house.
But most of them are in West Ashley. There was only one in Mount Pleasant.
There was I don't think there was a lot of Folly.
Yeah, they do a lot out on
Folly
Folly.
and West Ashley.
Okay, there was like.
He's a West Islands agent.
At first I thought it was all his, and it was like.
All right. So Katrina's question, market-wide for the month of May, 1 million and above, only 4 showings. No, that's just for,
That's
the-
up to $1 million.
yeah, up to 1 million, Katrina. The chart, I don't know if, well,
You can
just ask Kristen.
brackets.
Call Kristen. She knows how to run this chart. I don't know if you can increase the brackets. I'm sure you can.
Yep,
And you
okay.
can also break it up at like 20, every 25,000, every 50,000, every 100,000.
I'm never putting a chart on the screen ever again. Okay.
Don't be discouraged.
I'm just kidding. Okay. Have wants and needs, buyer needs, seller needs. We're going to be early today.
I do.
What you got?
Buyer need in Barnesdale, Windermere, This is not the same buyer, actually, believe it or not. And, sorry. I'm
Distracted by a puppy.
The alert. And up to probably 900,000. And it's okay if it's a fixer upper as well. Also buyer need in Casino Plantation up to 2.2. Buyer need in Mount Pleasant South. Ranch is fine up to about 850. They really don't want an HOA.
Who else? Nobody?
Well, I would love for y'all to come to my caravan because I made homemade shrimp and grits.
If you haven't had Lisa's shrimp and grits, you better go to Caravan.
This house is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's so lovely. One house down from my house.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Laura.
Same thing, we're on Caravan as well. Unfortunately, we don't have food at Seaside Farms, but if you come to us afterwards on Dana Island, we do have food.
There you
So,
go.
We'd love for you all to come to both or anything you can to support our listings. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to Seaside Farms first, then Brickyard to Lisa, and then Long Point for Ariel Trush. I saw something over here. Dustin, you had something.
Yeah, so a couple things. So buyer need Folly, preferably West Island, 3.3 minimum. And they have a budget up to 1.8. So if you hear of anything, just let me know. I've pretty much contacted every agent out there that's sold a house, out.
That breeds.
And they're all on the east
Oh, okay.
side. So yeah. Habs just finished up renovation of the personal project in Park Circle.
It's adorable.
Yeah, it's like Park Circle Dream Home. You're 3 blocks from East Montague. It's a craftsman style cottage, late 1930s, but it's fully renovated. Beautiful. Check it out. 4620. Oh,
Seven.
$799.
It's very, very cute. If he still has it, we'll have you guys Caravan next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to.
What else?
Yes.
Greg.
We just listed, put it in MLS last night. It's about a mile from here, Hunter's Run, a little 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath town. The HOA is only $100 a month. It's in, so you follow, pass this area around, it goes out just 17. The sign says one go east, you go in, there's another sign that says Hunter's Run. So it's 400,000. For sale.
Very nice. Allie Atwell has a new listing coming in Arlington and Park West, 4.3 with lots of upgrades. Not sure on price yet, but probably somewhere in the mid to high 7s. So reach out to Allie if you've got somebody. Chris?
Our listing in Dunes West that a lot of you saw, it's been on the market for, 45 days or something. Anyway, we've lowered it to 1374. But our clients are very negotiable and motivated because they had house under contract and we fell out of that on Saturday. And they would like to put that house back under contract. So if you have anybody who do 6 bedrooms, 5 bath, 2, a guest suite on the main, guest suite on the third. They've done a lot of refreshing and painting and new it just looks really, really nice and kind of more on trend with some of the brand new properties in there. So don't be scared of the 1374. Just
Don't
go
be
and bring
scared.
us an offer and we'll do our best. And they will offer some concessions if needed.
Okay. Patrice, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm looking for space for after school program, daycare type thing. They kind of follow the same rules, but any unique commercial space that you see, look like 15 to 2,500 square feet. If y'all see that, y'all driving around, please holler at me. You need to have some outdoor space for kids.
Where?
Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Mount Pleasant. Anywhere in Mount Pleasant.
You have so many daycare people. It's crazy.
It's a huge demand.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
For childcare.
And that's very lucrative.
So that's just trying to find the intricate balance. So if y'all see space that could work, I know I'm challenging y'all's commercial brains, but if you see something, please say something.
Yeah.
I'm throwing a Hail Mary.
That sounds like the airport. If you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Leslie, did you have your hand up? Okay. All right. Are we good? Let's roll with a little pep talk and rejuvenation, hopefully. You ever have one of those days where you're just like, so irritated and so frustrated and you just like want to beat your head against the wall because nothing's going right? Yeah. and then maybe that one day rolls into the next day, right? And then that next day, and before you know it, you have like a whole week of just like crap storms, and you're like, how is this happening? You think you're in the clear, and then you walk outside today and something like that happens to you, right? So we've all had these weeks, and it seems like Alan and I have been talking, and it seems like the last 2 weeks, our agents have been getting hit extra hard. And I wanted to put some things on here just as reminders and gentle, like kind of push forward kind of messages. My soccer coach in high school would always tell us every time we lost that we win more from losing than we do from winning. And we're like, yeah, whatever, right? And then when we would win, he would ask us what we learned that day, and we would just like, we don't want to have this conversation right now. We want to like highlight the fact that we won. I put my soccer logo up there because I thought y'all would think it's funny. That is like the most Jersey soccer team logo you have ever seen in your life, right? He literally is a Mustang on steroids with a New Jersey tattoo on his bicep. So I always heard that, and it really just has resonated with me my entire life. And I'm going to tell you guys the same thing and annoy you guys as much as my soccer coach annoyed me, that you don't learn nearly as much, if anything, from the transactions that are smooth. You learn how to really survive and do well in this business from the chaotic, messy, disaster transactions. And this past couple of weeks, these are some of the situations we've had. We've had at least 2 or 3 customers that have turned into complete creeps, like complete weirdos. Somebody sent one of our agents flowers to the office. She's never even met him. Like, what are you doing, weirdo? And then like keeps messaging her and stuff. Weird. We had an appraisal yesterday that was $18,000 short. We overcame that. We recovered from that. That was good. We had an offer come in that was $200,000 less than list price with a closing cost concession. So we called and I was like, let's try to work out a 2-1 buy down. Oh, they're actually not approved for any more than what we submitted. Well, what the heck did you think was going to happen? We're at 1.15 and you submitted a 955 with 5,000 in closing costs. And it's a Carolina One agent. I'm like, what are you doing? Call your broker. Show up to skills training. Goodness. You've had this happen. This happens every week, but it seems like it's happening a lot more this week. Emotional breakdowns from our clients literally every single step of the way. Like you ratify the contract, they freak the heck out. Why? We just ratified the contract. You get the home inspection, they freak out about the home inspection. You're like, we paid this guy to tell us why there's problems in the house. Then you get to the closing table, they're freaking out at the closing table. You're like, what in the world? And these are like grown adults who have survived most of their troubles in their life. And they're freaking out. I don't know why. Something's in the water, right? The lazy, clueless agent on the other side. Oh, gosh, we can't control that, and it's so frustrating. The divorced couples. This one's fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this one's a really good one. When you've got this guy going this way, this one going this way. They hate each other. They don't want to speak to each other. You're like, how did you ever decide to get together? You can't come together on this decision, right? Here's another one. This is probably the greatest one. The overbearing dad who shows up to the walkthrough to tell you how terrible you are for letting his daughter buy a house. He was not involved the whole transaction and literally shows up to the walkthrough, flips out on our agent, throws Carolina One under the bus, all the way to the closing. He's yelling at her, and Jimmy diffused the whole situation at closing because he didn't really have anything to be mad about anyway. And it's like, what in the world? He had our agent in tears. So point of all this is, one, if you're having struggles, you're not the only one, right? That somehow feels comforting. But 2, these are really like the messy things that actually define us and tell us who we really are as agents. Everybody can say, you know, I sold a house in the COVID years and it was easy. Well, it wasn't easy. It was a different kind of hard, but it was fast, and fast feels easy, but it wasn't easy. But these messy situations are really what tell us who we are. So if the past 2 weeks, you've been carrying somebody's chaos, you've been getting curveball after curveball after curveball, and then all of a sudden drama keeps hitting you out of nowhere, and then you start waving the flag and calling me, and you're like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't know what's happening. This is not what I thought real estate is. Help me out of this mess. I just want to remind you guys of this. You are here for a reason, right? You guys are built for this, and that's why you've survived every market shift and market chaos and market turn, transaction changes when they said we're getting rid of due diligence and we thought the world was going to end, compensation changes. You've made it through all of this. So all of these things, you'll make it through too. And I want to remind you that you're not just here by chance, but you're earning your stripes these last couple of weeks. And that doesn't always feel good, but it's a good reminder to know. So every mess this week that has had the potential to derail you, and at times maybe did derail you, that's okay, because you're human. You got back in the lead. You showed up better than you were when you started, right? You protected your clients. You protected your reputation, your company, your relationships. But one of my favorite parts, and I heard this at the front desk the other day, was you guys protecting each other. We've heard so many times this week, and one time in particular, an agent coming up to Alan, did this situation with this agent get worked out? Because I'm really concerned about her in that situation. That's some cool stuff. That's some really good stuff. That's not every culture in every single office in every single profession, especially one where you compete against each other on paper, right? So that to me is the most important piece. I want to remind you, Mama said there'll be days like this. This is not herding cats. That's literally being chased by the cats. It's not always going to be this messy. It won't always be this hard. It won't always be this emotional and dramatic. But I hate to break it to you, those situations really do build the trust, give you grit, capitalize on your confidence, help you in your leadership skills, and really actually develop your reputation, because how you handle them is what your reputation is built on. So we actually need those crappy days and those crappy transactions. And I know we don't really necessarily feel like this right now, but we should be saying thank you to those people who have caused us all this anxiety and drama and stress and all this pressure in the last couple of weeks. And I think there is a classy, impactful way to do that. Probably not the same way in that I thanked my ex-husband for leaving with a thank you note, but there is a way you could do it. And I was serious, because I wouldn't probably done it, and look where I am now. So I do think that these are the character building things that help you survive and thrive in this business. And without them, you would just think it's easy and everybody would do it. And it's not easy stuff. So just remind yourself that this is growth opportunities. And that's the really, really good news. The better news about that is that that growth is all yours. When there's another market shift, you've got the grit, the confidence, the perseverance, the leadership. You've got all of that because you did the work, and nothing can take that away from you guys. Those are your character traits now on every single time you have a tough deal. So over the last couple of weeks, no matter what your battle was this week, this is Beckham. This is Jen Bailey's son. They were on vacation, so I think she's still like making her way home from vacation. But she sends this picture to me often, and that's him on the soccer field. Like, what are you doing, Beckham? But I do really want you to know, whether it was a personal struggle this week, a professional struggle, a mixture of both, I want you to know I see you. I see your hearts. I see your hustle. I see you guys giving it your best. And now as you walk into the weekend, I want you to take two things with you. Put it all behind you. There's a meditation I listen to all the time through Peloton. Her name's Aditi. And she literally starts every single meditation the same way. Don't think about what came before this, and don't think about what's coming after this. Just be present. So that's what I want you to do with this week. Bookend that week. Don't think about what's happened already. Don't think about what's coming forward. Just give yourself a moment of grace, and remember, you're doing the hard work and you're doing a good job. Yesterday, I was on the phone with one of our agents, and I was talking to her about some personal stuff, and she's like, "You're doing a good job." And I was like, "Wow, thanks." And as soon as she said it, I like melted in my car, because I feel like that's just exactly what I needed at the time, right? And the second thing I want you to take with you is knowing that I've got your back. Even when I get frustrated in your situations, I still have your back. In the mess, in the chaos, in the calm, whatever it is, I've got your back. If you send a resume to me because you want to hire an assistant, I don't really like the way the resume is going to be, I'm going to say, I'm not so sure about this, but I'm going to listen, I'm going to hear it out, and let's see how it goes, right? Because I want to protect you guys, because I believe in every single one of you in this room. So when you're feeling the doubt, remember, you're stronger because of what you grew through this week. You are better because of what you went through this week. Don't let the anxiety of that person who's drained you this week carry you all the way through the weekend. We don't let their emotions drive our transactions or our peace, right? You're stronger because of what you went through this week. The next week, we get to go again. We get to do it all over. Except next week, we get to begin with a little more wisdom, lessons learned, right? I was talking to an agent this morning, and she's like, "I've learned every single step of the way on this." I'm like, "Good. That's all we can do." A little more wisdom next week, a little more muscle next week, a little more tenacity, and a lot more fire next week, because we're going to take this weekend to just reset, regroup, and come back even better. Good?
Amen.
Good. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Let's head out on Caravan. We have 3 people to support and dripping grits to eat. Thanks for being here, guys. You're welcome.
You don't